Okay, good morning, ladies, or afternoon again. And we're at Proverbs 21:26, and we could have done 25 and 26 together. So I'm going to ask you to read 25 again and 26 together, please.
El deseo del perezoso le mata, porque sus manos no quieren trabajar. Hay quien todo el día codicia, pero el justo da y no detiene su mano.
Okay.
The desire of the slothful killeth him, for his hands refuse to labor. He coveteth greedily all the day long, but the righteous giveth and spareth not.
Okay, we could have had those together on last week. The enduring word says about this particular scripture, he covets greedily all day long. And but the righteous, they give and they don't spare in their giving. The reference is likely to the lazy man of the previous proverb in verse 25. With his desire, that lazy man covets greedily all day long. Yet he has that desire to have all these things, but the desire is unfulfilled because he does not work towards it. The lazy man experiences constant disappointment, but the righteous man, who by implication works hard, he has so much that he gives and he doesn't spare. He is so blessed that he has enough for himself and enough to give generously. He doesn't mind. Maybe it's his time or his money or food or help with something, because he works hard at it. But the lazy person wants and wants and wants, but he doesn't want to work and work to get it. Ellicott's commentary says, all day long he's craving that he may consume ill on his own lust. In other words, he's steadily wishing and wanting, but it's not so he can work to get it. He wants to come up with a scheme, with a plan. And that's why we have so many phone calls during the day and so many things going on that we have to be careful about our accounts and what we do online and all of that. We have to be careful of that, because the lazy man, while you out working, he's trying to figure out a way how to get what you have, but he doesn't want to work for it. He doesn't want to do it that way. While the righteous gives to all who need, remembering that he is a steward and not an owner. Do you know we are stewards and not owners? You know, we say, come to my this and sit on my chair, and come to my this and I got mine and this is mine, and you know. But we are not owners. We're stewards. We are caregivers for what God has given us. And the righteous person knows that. And he knows that it is a blessing. And he will take care of it so that he can share with others. Because he knows, or she knows, that whatever I have, I received it from the Lord. And I share. Here is the misery of the slothful. Their hands refuse to labor in an honest calling, by which they may get an honest livelihood. Yet, they don't cease coveting riches and pleasures and honors, which cannot be obtained without labor. But the righteous man or woman, they are industrious. They don't mind working. They don't mind doing a little extra, okay? Then they can have the things that they desire that are right. Now, not just anything, and everything. God even gives us the right desires, okay? And those desires will be satisfied. Matthew Poole's commentary says, the slothful spends his whole time in vain, lazy desires, craving to have the, oh, I want that. Oh, that shit is nice. And they even ride up and down the streets looking at what people got so they can figure out a way how to get it. Because they want to have those things, but they don't want to do what needs to be done to have them. They want to do it in a different and an ill way, ill-gotten way. They labor to get anything, either to use on themselves or to use, they will not labor to get anything, either to use for themselves or to help others. You know, they never concerned about somebody else. They always concerned about others. About themselves, never about others. You got enough. You got 2 of those. Y'all give me 1 of those. You got this. You ought to do so-and-so and so-and-so. You ought to have me that. I need 1 of those. I sure wish I had that. Okay? Because they're never concerned about others. They're always wishing and craving for themselves. But they don't want to do the work. They don't want to pay any dues. Okay? You notice in a company, that person that does the least work always wants to tell everybody how to run the place. They want the honor, the recognition of being in charge, but they don't want to be in charge and do the work that it takes to be in charge. A good leader gets around and does those things nobody else wants to do. Takes care of those things that nobody sees. And they don't go out and tell everybody. When someone comes in and says, boy, that the children are doing well, you don't have to tell them everything you do. They're learning. The classroom's doing good. You don't have to go in and I had to. No, because you want to give to others so they can grow. It's not about, but the lazy person, no. Lazy person wants everything to be on them, and they never think about giving to others. But will not labor to get anything to use himself or give to others. God's blessing is upon the righteous. His industry, he procures enough, not only for his own support, but also for the liberal relief of others. He wants to make sure he has something to help others as well. John Gill's exposition says on this particular verse, the slothful man does all he has to do nothing. He doesn't even employ his own time and his thoughts. All he uses his time and thoughts for, he's always craving, either for something to eat or something to drink, or wish he had such and such, or wish he had an estate, or wish he had much wealth or much riches, that he might live as so-and-so lives. Now I wish I had that. I wish I lived like that. I wish I had that car. I wish I had so-and-so. But they never concentrate on what it takes or what that person had to do to have those things. They worked hard to get it. But no, they don't want that. They spend all their time wishing. And this is what his head runs on all day long. Now, isn't that interesting? In other words, that's what's on his mind all the time. He's not worried about trying to get a job. He's not worried about trying to do extra work or do something extra, bring in a little extra. Oh, he wouldn't dare do that. He wouldn't dare do it. He just worried about doing just enough. If he is working, you just do enough to get by. But when you start talking about, well, let's implement something that we could do. Oh, that's too much. That's too hard. That's too much. I can't do that. No, that's too much. You expecting too much from me. Okay? But if you are lauded or uplifted for doing those things, I could have done that. Well, why didn't you? Why didn't you do it? Because you spent all your time thinking about having what somebody else has instead of doing what it takes to obtain and realize, okay? The righteous goes to the needy. The righteous gives to the needy. The righteous are thinking of others. They work hard, but they want to help. They know whatever they have, God has given. And a good man will work with his hands that he might have a sufficiency for himself and for his family, and may have something to give to others that are in want. He doesn't withhold his hands from giving nor from working. He doesn't withhold his hands from sharing nor from working. He says, okay, what do we need to do? Let's get in here. Let's try this. Let's try that.
Yeah.
I'm sure in your heart and mind, there's so many things running around. Boy, when I do get in my own classroom, I'm going to try this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to... You just got so much in your heart and mind that you want to do, because that's what an industrious person does. They want to help. They want to be a help. They want to build up. And that's good. That's a good thing. Believer's Bible says the lazy man is torn between his craving for riches on the one hand and his determination not to exert himself on the other. I sure want that, but I can't do that. It's too hard. It's a line out there in the street. I can't go out there. I can't do that. It's too hard. Oh, I'm not doing that. It's too hard. Okay? So he's torn between that because he doesn't have that desire to do what he needs to do to earn. While he spends his time in a dream world of unfulfilled hopes, the righteous man is working hard and earns money so that he can give unsparingly to worthy causes. Worthy causes. Not just any old thing. The righteous is looking and taking notice. Before you go and shell out, you need to find out what is that about. Are you helping those that cause for the building up of people or for somebody's pocket to be lined. That's not how that works. Bible reference says, here Solomon notes how those who are idle have intense desires which cannot be fulfilled, in part because of their laziness. That's why. They got these intense desires. I'm on tonight and I'm gonna get out there and I'm on so, but they never do it. And it's because they are lazy. The person who produces nothing still is in want of food and shelter. They become a bottomless, this is so good, a bottomless pit. They swallow everything without giving back anything in return. They swallow up it. Oh, you gotta say, if you know, I need you to. I admire those men who hold signs and say, you can get your taxes done here. It's an 8-hour job. They making a living. They getting paid by the hour.
That's right.
Because they don't mind working. It's hot, it's cold, they're sweating, got on a coat, they're freezing, but there they stand. The sale will be off soon. They don't mind working. Maybe that's all the education they have, but they'll use it to do that. Okay? But the lazy man is a bottomless pit. He never, And you say, well, they came out with a new program and what can't we do it the old way? Ask too much. They're just asking too much. They never get tired of complaining. They're a bottomless pit of laziness and complaints and slothfulness and me. But I'm tired and I. And they always sitting around watching that person. Could you let me could I have a loan? No, because you ain't doing your work. Could you lend me, my car broke down and you there to work and you're not even doing the work you're getting paid to do. Why should somebody give you even extra? They're a bottomless pit. And they never worry about giving back anything in return. They'll ever come up and say, you take a break. I'll watch them for, they do you faint. You go, I'll watch them for a while. I see. You got duty out here. It's hot out here. I've been in. You go in and get you something. No. It's too hot out there. And them children, they don't mind, and blah, 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 blah. It goes on and on and on. But by contrast, the righteous person is generous. They understand that they are stewards of all that God has given. And therefore, they use their goods, their wealth, their possessions wisely. And let me turn the page here, it's curled up. And with the mind of furthering the gospel. Isn't that beautiful? How we can get the gospel out. What can we do to further the gospel? And this is so good because Paul was the hardest working apostle. And in Acts 20, 33 through 35, this is what Paul said. Acts 20. I have coveted. Remember we talked about the lazy man?
Mm-hmm.
He coveted all day long. Wish I had that. I sure need that. I need a bigger church. I need a bigger parking lot. I need bigger money. I need more, bigger, more. Now, a bottomless pit.
Mm-hmm.
Paul said, I have coveted no man's silver or gold or apparel. You know what? That'd be a good thing to put on the church door. I have coveted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some of these doors need to be, that's what needs to be on there. Paul said, I coveted no man's silver or gold or apparel. Yes, he said to them, ye yourselves know that these hands have ministered unto my necessities. Paul worked for what he needed. And he worked and he gave to them that were with him. Not only did he work to make sure his needs were met, but he worked to help those that were with him, that was working in the gospel with him. That's good. That's good, good, good. Paul said, I have showed you all things, that how that so laboring ye ought to support, not fleece, support the weak, and to remember the words of Jesus, how he said, what? It is more blessed to give than to receive. I remember our old pastor where we used to go. You'd see him out there in his overalls with his rake and shovel and hoe, and he done made him a little garden out there outside the church and planted collard greens and vegetables. So anybody come along, they could pick a few, have some. He was so caring about others. He didn't have a college education, but he had a heart for furthering the gospel of Jesus Christ. And his daughter said one time he had an old car. He'd come home. He didn't have no seat in there. Said, Daddy, what happened to your seat? He said, well, I met a guy. He needed a seat in his car. He said, well, you don't have a seat. He had a heart. He had a heart for furthering the gospel of Christ. It wasn't about himself. And that's the kind of heart we ought to have as believers. But the lazy man, he's a bottomless pit. Send in your clothes and your money and your seed and blah, 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 blah. This month we need $2 billion. Next month we need $2.5 million. Next month we need $3 million. It's a bottomless pit. It's no end to that. When God told Moses to tell them when they were building the tabernacle, and he gave them the ability to do how he wanted it designed, and the people bought so much, he had to tell them to stop. You ever seen that on television? Where they say stop, don't bring no more. Oh no. The righteous are concerned about others, and they don't mind working. They don't mind sweating. They don't mind getting down there and doing what needs to be done. And I didn't read where Paul had an entourage, that he could take off his own clothes. Somebody had come back and help you take your coat. Come on now. And dust off the seat for you so you can sit. Come on now, that's foolishness. The picture is not a good picture. Paul was a tent maker. He went around, he made tents. And he said he would rather not ask because he didn't want the gospel to be hindered. It was all right to give. I'm not saying don't give, and you should pay the preacher if you can. But that should not be why he's doing what he's doing. And he should not be making you feel guilty because you just don't keep on and on and on. And it's okay, whatever kind of car you drive. But don't have a car that you got a special spot and can't nobody sit in it but you. That don't make sense. That's not of God. Whatever you got, everybody out there pile in. The bigger, the better. Thank God, my husband was like that. We have driven to Las Cruces with a car full of kids, sitting on laps and everybody hauling out, trying to get out. Can we ride? Yeah, come on. I think it's enough room. God bless for having that kind of mind. Whatever we have, God gave it to us. But the lazy man is a stingy man. And all he wants is what's going to come to him, and he's not worried about giving out to nobody else. And whatever he gives you, he's going to charge you for it. Am I going to be reimbursed for that? I bought extra pens. So I need some expensive cap. It's all about them, but not about the Lord. Paul was a good example because he patterned his life after Jesus, who gave his all so that we might have. That ends the lesson.